Most people got what I was trying to get at in my last video, but a few got annoyed at me. I was talking about not jumping to rash conclusions and being paranoid, but some of you did just that in a kind of Kathy Newman style, so what you're saying, human, is ... I was simply just saying don't be paranoid, and I was illustrating some very detailed points about paranoia and conspiracy theories and the kind of personalities that adopt them, and I see some of those in the manosphere. And I'm certainly not saying that it's paranoid to acknowledge the very clear and present dangers that the manosphere illustrates and we talk about in an attempt to kind of avoid dangers in your life and making the same mistakes that you once did. And heck, I reference red pill ideas all the time in my videos. I think they're invaluable and essential. I'm just saying don't be paranoid, that's all. Don't become a conspiracy theorist. And no, I'm not saying go back to the plantation, get married, put a blindfold on and blindly just be the naive person you were in the past. And I have absolutely nothing against monks or any other stoic individual who's living their life and they're completely happy and at peace. If they're thriving, more power to you guys. I have nothing against you. I'm just saying to watch out in being paranoid. And no, I wasn't trying to point out any particular content creator. I have no beef with content creators. I generally get along with most of them. And if we don't see eye to eye, I can at least respect their content and what place it has, because there's different people that need different medicine depending on the stages they're in and the voice that they need to speak to them. You know, not everyone's going to resonate with my voice or whoever's voice. You know, there needs to be different voices for different ears at different stages. And given different experiences, different people will speak to you and mentor you. Some people will just pass through one ear and out the other, and it'll seem mildly interesting, and to others it'll seem like finding religion, and to others it may seem almost insulting and gets you annoyed. But we're all different. We have different ways of looking at the world. Just calm down, that's all I'm saying. And this isn't me trying to apologize for the last video. I stand by the ideas of not becoming paranoid, being liquid and being able to sort of learn and grow and develop a stronger sense of self and, you know, refine yourself as you go on. This is the main reason I made the last video. It wasn't to call out any creator, any of the content creators. I have no problem with Sandman, TFM, or any of those guys. I respect them for what they do, for the place they have and the information that they have to speak to other guys. Like, there's a time and place for everything. Take the medicine that best suits you. Why I made it was I noticed the people that I speak to, especially a lot of the younger guys that I talk to that are listening to a wide variety of manosphere content. I'm noticing that they can barely string sentences together. They're very timid, or if they do show any kind of confidence, it's as though they're reading from a book. They're not just in real time casually expressing themselves through their own words. They're using one-liners and cliches. And I get a sense in their language when they speak to me, it's almost half scripted. They've learnt what to think. They haven't processed, or they don't seem to have processed things themselves. And so whoever they're watching, listening to, wherever they're getting the information, it seems like they're a tape recorder replaying messages rather than reflecting on them. And you can actually tell in real-time conversation. You ask them something, and when they respond, they're not flowing the conversation forward. They're starting a brand new conversation. But it's somehow tangentially related to what you just said. The example I'll give that really made me make the last video was I was talking on Discord the other week, and I was describing how not everyone needs red pill information. I was describing a very close friend of mine that I know since high school. He's happily married with like 5 kids. His wife's great. He's got a great life. We talk about red pill ideas on the surface, but more related to being a workhorse, a slave, the government, the job, and so forth. But I've noticed whenever I try to scratch the surface when it comes to relationships, he acknowledges them, he laughs, and he realizes what women are like in the workplace and outside. But he doesn't sort of wade in that pool when it comes to his personal relationship, because I can actually see that he's got quite a very good one. You know, his wife's lovely. He's got a good family life. He's stressed and tired, and he doesn't like everything outside his family life, which I can see. I can't impose my life and my will on him. And when I was talking to a guy online about this, he was very robotically saying, well, he deserves to know the truth about women, and you should really encourage him to leave his wife before she leaves him. And I said, what are you talking about? Most likely she's not going to leave him. Yeah, but statistically, women will leave men because that's what it's blah, 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 blah. So this is the robotic, dogmatic, binary stance that I was trying to describe in my last video. Not becoming paranoid, not becoming a conspiracy theorist. Yes, the chances of relationships ending and divorces happening are very, very high going in. You have to be that much more aware of them. And I'm not saying, again, just to sort of stop the knee-jerk reaction, I'm not saying you need to or should get married or be with a woman. You know, assess your own risk. You know, keep them at whatever arm's length you want if you still want to be with women, or if you're happy to avoid them, more power to you. Great. And this is what I mean. Don't become so paranoid that you close yourself off to reality and you don't trust yourself anymore or others, and then you feel alone. Don't dissociate yourself from reality that much that you become almost desensitized and nihilistic. I mean, a lot of people just have relationships and friendships online, and that's it. They're closed in a bubble. If that works for you, good. And I'm not shaming anybody, but what happens if your internet suddenly turns off? And what happens when you go to the supermarket and your very rigid ethics says, I'm not even going to associate, talk to, or have anything to do with women. And the woman serving you at the store simply says, hi, how was your day? And you don't want to talk to her and you don't like her, you don't want to have anything to do with her. There's no reason to be socially awkward. If you know where you stand, there is no stress or fear with her. You can keep her at your own arm's length and get on with your life. This is what I mean about the paranoia. And this is why I was mentioning it. It's not so much what kind of content other guys are producing. It's the kind of guys that listen to it that are, you know, the amount of guys producing content are kind of such a fraction that that's not the point. It's the overwhelming majority that consume this content. You know, what content are they consuming? There's not enough of the Apollonian, introspective, philosophical, you know, self-reflective content. That's the stuff I'm interested in. Yet it might be subjective and selfish on my part. Okay, I'll put my hand up for that. But I think there should be more of it, as far as I can see, because there are guys that I speak to that want to talk in that arena. Because what happens is you get red-pilled initially, and then all of a sudden it jumps from being red-pilled all the way to ready-made solutions. You know, go monk, get a doll, leave your job, do this, don't do that. Basically, there's a whole handful of really workable solutions if it works for you. But there's this chasm in between that's not being spoken about. That's the intellectual grey area, the processing of your ethics and the relationship you now have after being red-pilled with what you do, how you speak, how you process your thoughts, now what you think, how you can have a more comfortable conversation across the table from someone in public where you don't agree with them and you've got a firm, comfortable stance with your life. You don't have to fight them. You feel really good. You're on your own little island moving around in the world and you feel great. That grey area, the bridge between being red-pilled and these ready-made solutions that work for some guys, but these guys that have been freshly red-pilled, they might be lost. I think there's a lot that I speak to, like the example I gave, where I was talking online about my best friend, where they jump from one extreme to the other. There's no discussion in between. There's no nuance. There's no acknowledgement that life is complex. You can make life as simple up here as you want, and I try and do that sometimes in terms of explaining ideas. But you need to realize the realities of the world. Life isn't binary. You can make it binary in your room and believe whatever you want to believe and construct your life in as binary a way as you want. But when it comes into the world, you need to realize the world is complex, and the way we think, discuss, and the way we interact needs to be complex. Again, it's the conversation I would like to see more of, from being red-pilled objectively to the very esoteric, extreme, and sometimes safe and rational positions and ready-made solutions that a lot of guys are offering and a lot of guys make channels around. My channel's exploratory in thinking, like the finding your way. Whatever happened to your way? Not, nah, you don't do this because it's too dangerous. There's only this way. This is the only rational way. No, sorry then, get stuffed. Like, don't tell me what to do. I'll fine-tune my own life. This fine-tuning is what I'm trying to get at. As I said at the end of the last video, I'm not telling anyone what to do. I just want people to have a conversation and develop their own morals and ethics and think for themselves. The thinking part is what I think is missing. It's kind of like, this is all we have essentially in the community now, which is not wrong, but essentially we have this binary. Here is the problem. Here is the perfect solution. That's it. There's nothing in between. There's no your way. There's her way and the safe, robotic, nothing will touch me way. The uncreative, these are your choices. There's no real your way. It's these ways and that's it. Otherwise there's not going to be any discussion. How do you find your specific way in this vast wasteland between red pill and the extremes? That's what's missing, the conversation, the intellect. How do you go from and to? And the to is yours, your way, your to. Yeah, others can actually showcase this could work for you. But I think there's a lot of guys who've been hurt. I mean, really, what are you going to tell a guy who's just been decimated by divorce? His heart's broken. He can't see his children. He's been kicked out of his home. He doesn't have a job. He's barely surviving. He's elucidated by red pill truths, and he's hungry to develop his own ethics, morals, and to build some foundations with his life intellectually and psychologically to kind of be reborn philosophically in his life. And all he gets is do A, B, or C. That's it. And this guy's saying, hang on a minute, can we talk about this? Like, I'm going through all of this. I'm trying to work out why this happened, and given who I am and why I broke up with this person, why my life went off the rails. I'm trying to work out, given who I am, what will work now for me. Thanks for your ready-made solutions of your utopia. But before I actually choose, before I actually burn my bridges and go to that place and I can never come back, I want to make sure that it's the right direction for me. It might deviate from yours. All of our lives, like including mine is not a blueprint of any one of your guys' lives. Tangentially, there's certain aspects that touch on similar things that you guys have and that I might have, the way we think, but we're all individual. That thinking between the two extremes is what I think is fruitful and necessary for self-actualization and introspection and going your particular way. So the last video was just talking about the paranoia of binary thinking, and don't become that kind of guy for your own health. I'm not shaming you. You want to do it, power to you. But if you're getting annoyed at me, and if you look at the last video, I wasn't actually specifically talking about any person. I was talking about the idea of being paranoid. And red pill ideas are not paranoid. I'm saying don't be a paranoid person in the manosphere because it won't serve you well. And yes, there are some selfish aspects of me making that last video. I would like more intellectual content, more introspective content, more of a renaissance to what we used to have. but calibrated to the lives and issues that men are going through today. I actually started making videos. I put my hat in the ring because Marcus and Coterie asked for a renaissance of Manosphere Content 2.0. I'd call on some of you guys, if you're interested in finding out what your way is and thinking your way through this and developing a language, start creating your own content. Have civil and intelligent conversations with each other. Don't get angry. Work these things out. Let it be more Apollonian than nihilistic and childish. Some of those things are needed. Some of those things are great for a release, and I've nothing against guys who find it entertaining to have fun in certain aspects of the manosphere. Good. But I'm interested in meaning and thinking. That's what I'm about. And I would like to sort of converse and cross-pollinate ideas with guys that share my views and like my videos and like what I'm trying to get at. You don't have to be specifically like me, but I would like to have conversations with and engage with and cross-pollinate ideas with and develop ideas from all of this stuff that we're all interested in. And speaking of having peers, I'll be putting up another conversation I had last week with Spetsnaz about life lessons and the journey that brought us here regarding the manosphere and what we've learned and mentors and so forth. So stay tuned next for that video. But in the meantime, if you want to discuss my last videos and these thoughts on not being too paranoid and getting back to some sort of thinking and creative thinking about your way, join me on my Discord server at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, my time, which is Australian AED time. And stay tuned for the next video featuring my chat with Spetsnaz regarding life lessons. I'll talk to you later. Feel free to like, subscribe, and share my work on social media, comment under this content, or join the conversation on Discord. If you'd like to support me directly, there are donation options below. I appreciate all of you who have and continue to. It's people like you that make all the difference. Thanks.